everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am coming to you today with a WIP Parade. Yay, it's WIP Parade Day. I am so excited. I am so thrilled and so ready to get this WIP Parade filmed. I was supposed to do this WIP Parade back at the beginning of the year / end of last year, and things were just too crazy. Too much going on at that point in my life, and so it had to be put on hold, and so here we are today. I have tried to film this WIP Parade a couple of times this summer, and it just never came to fruition. But we are here today, and we're gonna get this done. We're gonna get it done. For sure. Some people have said, well, why don't you just wait till the end of this year and do it then? But y'all, the end of the year is too crazy for me. Between the holidays and Danny's birthday and then Baby Does Stuff's birthday is at the beginning of January, like, too much. So now is a really good time for me to film my WIP Parade. The other thing that kind of prompted this is that I have worked on a bunch of different things in the 4 months since my last video. And so here's a really great chance for me to show you the progress that I have made in that window of time. So yeah, I thought if I'm going to show 20, I might as well show all 88, right? Yes, 88. That's not an exaggeration. I have 88 works in progress currently. And throughout this process, I imagine that there are going to be some things that I'm going to talk to you about that I might UFO or perhaps consider restarting or changing and that sort of a thing. But we'll cross those bridges when we get there. Before we get there, though, I just want to say welcome. If you are a returning viewer and you have stuck with me for my absence, I basically missed all of summer. I wish that I got to skip summer, but anyway, thank you very much for staying with me. I appreciate that. If you are a new viewer, then this is such a great time to start watching my channel because a WIP Parade is a really great jumping off point. I'm almost envious of new floss tubers who get to start off with a WIP Parade. That's just so very cool. So anyway, welcome everybody. I won't wax poetic about that for too long. Let's see, what else did I want to discuss? Instagram. On Instagram, if you want, and this is like, it's just for fun, use the hashtag JMDSWIPParade 2021. I'll put it here so that you can show your progress while watching this. So a starting point when this is beginning and a finishing point. We did this a couple of years ago and it was just so much fun to see all of the progress you guys made while I was doing this run through. So let's do it again because it's just a lot of fun. Stitching, knitting, folding laundry, I mean, whatever you want to do, whatever you feel like you need to do, while I'm just rambling on and on about 88 projects. Yeah. The way in which that we're going to do this today is chronological, sort of. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through my HAIDs. And the reason for that is that, like I said, I'm going to show you the progress that I have made in the last few months. And I worked on a bunch of my HAIDs in July for Full Coverage Fanatics Olympics Bingo. And so rather than having to search through everything to try to insert my before and afters so that I can show you the progress that I made in that specific amount of time, I thought I would just front load with the HAIDs. Get those done and out of the way. And I've got 9 of them, so there's that. And then we'll go chronological from oldest WIP up to my most recent start, which is kind of cool because my first WIP Parade in 2017 was, what did we do? We did alphabetical for that one, and then at the end of 2018, I did random. I just pulled stuff out of my storage bins just randomly. So this time we're going to go chronological, and then we'll try to come up with something else for the next one in a couple of years. I am not somebody who can do an annual WIP Parade. I would love to get down to like 40 WIPs and film one of these every 6 months, but that's just not my reality. I keep starting new things and I keep starting big things. So yeah, that's just never going to be a reality for me. So I think 2 years, 2023, end of summer, early fall 2023 will be my next WIP Parade. But before we start talking about my next WIP Parade, let's get going with this one. And I think that that is all of the preamble stuff. So settle in. I hope you've got something to drink. Hope you've got something to stitch on, something to work on. I've got my coffee. Good to go. And let's do this thing. Okay. So, Hades. First up, I've got them all stacked up over here. The pile is about up to here. One Hade that I don't have to show you is my oldest, and that is In This Moment. I finished In This Moment in July, and she is en route to the rental studio for framing. I am so excited. I am so excited to get her back in like 3 months. She's gonna live right here on this wall, so you will get to see her. I should have filmed something when I finished her to stick in the videos, but I just never did. And I had to get her off to get her framed, hopefully before the end of the year. No assumptions or anything like that, but nonetheless. So I don't have her to show you, but you'll see her plenty when she gets back. So after I finished In This Moment, I kind of posted something on Instagram where I was like, I'm not going to focus on another Hade quite like I did within this moment for as long as I can avoid it. Inevitably, I'm going to get this urge to finish something, and so it may take over again, but the intention is to try to work through my Hades a little bit more evenly so that I can at least get a page finish on each of them. That would be super cool. So I posted on Instagram after finishing In This Moment. I'm like, these are my Hades that I currently have going. Which ones would you pick for my next focus? So you guys actually voted. You came out in droves. I had 231 unique commenters on that post. And so I tallied it up. If you listed several, because even you couldn't narrow it down to just one, I ticked it for just the first one that you mentioned. So if you said Avarice and Magic Study and April, then I ticked it for just the first one. On that post, I said that Magic Study wasn't likely to be the one because I don't have a wide enough frame. That piece is my widest by a long shot, and I don't have a frame wide enough for that. And so I said that wasn't likely going to be it. And so several of you kind of took that to heart and chose not to vote for it. But then Jemima, the Rocking Stitcher, she had a really great point. She said the frame thing can be fixed. So anyway, so we'll see. So 231 unique votes. Only took the first one. And so I'm going to show you them in order of what got first place all the way down to last. And that is going to be the order in which I work on them moving forward. So for the rest of this year, I'm going to be working until I get page finishes on Hades. And then I'll rotate to the next one. I'm not going to be doing any full coverage stitching until November, so I don't know how many pages I'm going to get done before the end of the year. Next year, we'll talk about it in a future video. Things may be a little different next year, but plenty of time to iron that out officially. So, my most popular vote getter, which I was not surprised that this is the one that won. This WIP Parade is also going to be a bit of a bag stash share because I've bought a bunch of project bags lately, so y'all can see the project bags. So this is the August collection from Brass Button. I snuck in and grabbed this one up. I love this print. So this is from the Brass Button, and if the bags that I mention have Etsy's, or sources, I'll link them in the description box below for the future. So my Focus full coverage goes in this bag, and this will rotate out as I work through them. All right, so this first one is Dark Waters by Jessica Elaine, which I started in the summer of last year. And Dark Waters got, let's see, 53 votes, so nearly a quarter of the votes, which I'm just thrilled by. So you'll be seeing a preview here of what this will look like finished in a very long time. And this is where I'm up to. Now, I've got my ring light, and this camera is pretty intense, as you may be able to tell. So the coverage looks a little spotty, but it looks really good in person. So don't be worried about it, because I'm not. That's a bunch of really dark colors there. So this is page 1. Now, the piece of fabric that I had, it was a remnant from Magic Study, I think. And the width isn't quite, it's not quite enough to support the full design as it was, so I cropped it a little bit. I took 20 stitches off this side and 45 stitches off the other side. I just basically trimmed down the background a little bit. So not a big deal. But I did have enough for the full length, which is like 730 something stitches long. She's tall. She's tall. And if I can get to her head on this top row of pages, and her tail comes down to the very bottom. So she takes up the full design, which I think is just great. So anyway, I worked on this for quite a bit in July and got over 3,000 stitches, but it went so fast because this is at most 4 colors. Yeah. So it goes really fast, but like that's what happens when you're just coloring. I'll try not to say this 9 times in a row. I stitched my full coverage pieces 1/1 full cross on a 25 count. Most of them are on this Easy Grid by Zweigart. See the orange stripe? That means Zweigart. But I have a couple that are on plain Luganas. So that is where I'm up to with Dark Waters. Second vote getter, so this will be my next one, was Ravenkin, artwork by Selena Finnick. All of the needle minders on this one. I love this one. I started this in October of 2019. When did we start these, Amy? Was it 2019? I think it was 2019. And I haven't worked on it since. So that's pretty sad. So Amy DeVille and I both started a Ravens kind of Haid, and she finished hers. Yep, she finished her Moonlight Messenger. And here's where I'm up to with Ravenkin. It's a lot of black and probably 939 and 37.99. Not a whole lot going on there yet. I was tempted to work on this in October again, but with it being my next page finish focus piece, I didn't think that was really necessary because it's going to come up real fast. And Ravenkin got 40 votes. Okay, up next is Snow Castle. This one I thought might have won. So I'm a little surprised that it came in third, but this one got 38 votes. And this is artwork by Randall Spangler. Here, right there. And this one I started at the end of 2017 and did a lot in early 2018. And then not a whole lot since. So I think if I back up a little bit, it looks spotty on the camera, but it's really not that bad. It's really not that spotty in person. It's just a lot of dark colors. So yeah, so I have the top 3 pages finished. It's really 2.5 pages. And recently in July, I started in on page 4. This is really enjoyable to stitch. If I was choosing which one to focus on, it might be this one. It's not super huge, and it's been a fun stitch so far. But I decided to let y'all be the ones to decide my fate, if you will. Up next is, with 27 votes, Alice in a Dolly Dream. Love this one. I love this one so much. This is a lot of fun. And I started this during Mania 2017 and have a really sad amount of progress for 4 years. Yep, that's pretty terrible. I think I have finally reached the right side of the page, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to working on this one and getting further along. I'm surprised that this one got as many votes as it did. Also, a huge shout out to everybody who remembered me nerding out over this piece. Yeah, I got really geeked about this project when I first started it, when I first sort of found it on the Haid website, and I appreciate y'all for remembering that. Okay, up next is in this project bag by So Much to Love. This is one that I think probably would have won if I hadn't given that disclaimer about the frame. But this is Magic Study, and I'm very sorry to say that this one is, it was a limited edition, and it is now out of print. So if you are wanting it, I wish you the best of luck in finding somebody who got a printed copy, who is willing to part with it. This project is massive. It's my biggest piece by far, not only in width, but just in stitch count. It's really big. And I worked on this recently. When did I work on this? Was it in August? It was in July or August. I can't remember exactly which one, but I needed it for a challenge, as you do. And so I was able to work on this. I got it loaded up in my Q-Snap, and I was able to work on it. It wasn't as smooth as I like, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good to be able to make some progress on it. And again, it's spotty, but it doesn't look that spotty. Super good lighting and super good cameras. That's what happens. I got to start this piece last summer, 2020, with a bunch of girlfriends on virtual stitchers, and I think about them every time I work on it, which was all of twice now. But nonetheless, super cool. Okay, Magic Study got 21 votes. Up next with 17 votes, this made me sad, but it is what it is living in this gorgeous bag from Jasmine Ravenclaw. Beautiful. And I love the little hearts on the inside. So cute. I love Jasmine Ravenclaw's bags. They are fabulous. So in here is Avarice. And I'll insert a preview of what that will look like finished, because I have cropped this one and my copy is, it's black and white. So yeah, so I've cropped this one because her torso is so tiny that you almost lose her in those miles of gold dress. And the gold dress is beautiful, but I didn't feel like it needed all of it. Not when you lose her. So this is a piece that my husband bought for me when we were just dating, so when he was my boyfriend still, for an anniversary. And so I started it for our first wedding anniversary with grand statements about how much I was going to get done for each year that we've been married. We celebrated 5 years married this year, and I certainly don't have the number of pages done that I promised myself. I think I was supposed to be up to like 15 pages done. No. But that's all right. That's all right. I am so excited to, the next time that I get to work on this, which is going to be a while, but I'm just excited to get into some of the more fun stuff and get out of the brown curtain, because that's boring. But nonetheless, I love this piece and I cannot wait to work on it again. This is one that I haven't been able to work on yet. It didn't come up in the Olympics bingo and I was really sad. But this is April by Anna Dittman. It also came up really low on the votes. Let's see, April got 15 votes. Yep. I started this one in 2016 for a Hade challenge, back when they were doing challenges on the Hade Facebook page or group. So I started this one for that, and I got a good couple of pages done. I think I've got 3 pages done. And then I haven't worked on it since. I think I worked on it for one day in 2018. Where are we here? There we go. But yeah, not since. So, I love this piece so much. I think the colors are just so soothing, and it's just, I just really love this one, and I cannot wait to get back to it. If I got to pick, this might be the first one that I work on. I think I've said that already once or twice since showing you these Hades, but I love this piece. I nicknamed this one Mika because of all of the gorgeous blues and teals. 2 to go. This next one, it breaks my heart with how few votes it got. This is Quick Stitch Day and Night, artwork by Nadia Strelkina. And this one got 11 votes. And I don't know what y'all were thinking. This is one of my favorites that I started for my birthday in 2020. And I just don't know what y'all were thinking not voting for this one, but you didn't. And I'm going to try to not be bitter about that. I love this piece so much. And I love Strelkina's artwork. And I cannot wait to get into this one. Okay, last Heaven and Earth design. And this is another one that I considered making my next focus for a bunch of reasons, but this is Personal Censured, artwork by Jeremiah Kettner. This is my oldest full coverage piece. Snow Castle, I am the furthest along, however this is my smallest, coming in at just over 106,000 stitches total. And I've got a page finished on this one, so I was very tempted to choose this as my next one, but I don't want to get up in a situation where I'm like so single-minded on the full coverage for a while, for a couple of years, and also it's Jeremiah Kettner again, and I could use a break. But I love this one, and it's just good. So this is this and April are on the plain Lugana. They're not the pre-gridded ones, which is all right. Some of you may have noticed that I very rarely actually do any gridding anymore, because I work in these diagonal blocks. I kind of don't have to. So again, this looks a lot worse on camera than it does in real life, but so I have page 1 finished, and then I've recently worked on it for Full Coverage Fanatics Bingo. So there is that. The Full Coverage Fanatics group started releasing their challenges for next year, and it's basically if you accomplish the counting challenge, it's 100,000 stitches, which would see this finished. Tempting, but I doubt it. I doubt that that's going to be where I put my emphasis next year. We'll see. Don't count me out just yet. So that is Personal Sunshine. And that is all of the Hades. So 9 Hades. How many pages between them? I think I have 7 pages finished in total amongst them, which is terrible. That's pretty terrible, but it is what it is. So I'm going to get my 2015 WIPs going and meet you back here. Okay, so for 2021, my focus has been on my 2015 WIPs. I would like to knock out my 2015s. Last year I finished up my last remaining 2014s. This year I thought, set the focus on 2015s, and I had 8 at the beginning of the year. I finished Flowers of the Month and In This Moment, so I'm down to 6. I'm not going to be able to get them all finished this year. Between Sampler September and Dark October and the holidays and everything, like there's just no way, which is okay because I am making some good progress, and I think I'm going to get 2 or 3 more done. So that's a win. So I have them living in a basket all on their own. And so let's get to showing. These are going to be in chronological order, and I'm going to try my best to tell you the start dates of them. So first up is Living in This project bag from Cassie the Pineapple House. This was a bag that benefited charity, and forgive me, I don't remember what charity it was benefiting, but this is Elephants by Jane Netley Mayhew from the Cross Stitch Safari book. And it's this one down here. This is kind of a crop image, but there's another elephant kind of over here. But this is a really good idea of where I'm at, actually. So this is a piece that I love. I love this project. And I started it on August 9th, 2015. At least that's the date that I have listed for it. And I worked on it pretty good for a couple of years. And the last time that I really worked on it was January of 2017. So that's pretty terrible. So I have put in some good work so far this year, which I am loving. And so, oh, that looks so good. That looks so good. All those issues I was having with the coverage on the full coverage pieces, this looks so good. So this fabric is a 32 count linen in aqua by Fabric Flare. It's one of those printed fabrics, so it's kind of lightly modeled on the front and plain all boring on the back. And I have basically worked in grasses so far this year. That's pretty much all I've done, but I've done quite a bit. I think I've done all of those grasses except for a few stitches that I did a couple years ago. So I've done most of that this year. This is fabulous. This is one of the 3 that I think I can finish this year. It's gonna get some good focus in November, I think, to see if I can get that accomplished. Beautiful, just gorgeous. There is an event that I'm sure you've heard of, mentioned in various places over FlossTube, and it's called Zombie Run, and it is in a group that is closed. It's a closed, private, secret group. It sounds so much more intense than it is, but they're just trying to keep it small. Anyway, the Zombie Run basically means that you work on 4 projects every month for X number of stitches. And you have to work on those 4 pieces every month, all of them. Elephants is one of my zombie run pieces. Another zombie run piece is in my newest project bag that just arrived this week. This is August Quilt by Paula Vaughn from the Quilts for All Seasons book that I have chopped up just to make it a little bit easier to use. But I am working on the August quilt here. And this bag is from Ragtag Quilt Art on Etsy. So it's gorgeous aqua print. And what I was going for was the kind of quilt block print in the back. So I thought it was appropriate for the quilts. I would very much like to do all 12 from this book. And so my first focus is living in this bag. And I've said it a bunch of times that this should not be my thing, but it totally is my thing. I love this. I love this a lot. I love working on these. And I have made a ton of progress on this year. For something that I started on September 1st, 2015, I have made a ton of progress so far this year. So everything that you see from here down is new. And I did the flower pot here and this section over here, and I filled in the leaves and roses up above that point. But everything from here down is new this year. This is so much fun to work on. I have a blast every time I pull this one out. And let's see if it'll focus if I hide my face. I don't know if it does. But there are 1,000,001 quarter stitches, and I love it. I just have so much fun every time I'm working on this. I thought that this was something that I might be able to finish this year, but I'm just now surpassed the 50% mark in the cross stitch, and that's really only half the battle with Paula Vaughn pieces, because then there's the epic backstitch task. Between the different colors and just the sheer amount of it. And I'm not backstitching as I go, which might be a stupid decision, but yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this year. We'll see. Because it's Zombie Run, it gets worked on every month, even in Dark October. I'll have to work on it a little bit then. But anyway, that's where I'm up to with August Quilt. Oh, it's so beautiful. And I have 2 more to show you in this WIP Parade that I have on the go. 32 count cream Belfast linen from Zweigart. Living in this bag that I got from Stitch and Button. This was actually a gift, but it is nonetheless a Stitch and Button bag with cute little zipper pull. This was a gift, so thank you, Shell. And living in here is my Haunted House by Clouds Factory. And I'll be honest, this and one other project, I was like, there's no way I'm going to get those finished this year. But this I'm going to finish in October. Yeah, I'm going to finish it in October. There is an app that I'm using these days that the other day it predicted that I would finish it next Tuesday. So if I had kept up at that pace. Anyway, so this is where I'm up to. Oh, it looks so good. Looks so good. So this fabric is 32 count Belfast linen in Umbriel by Under the Sea Fabrics. This was my very first Under the Sea Fabrics Fabric of the Month. And so this is where I'm up to with that. And you'll see better in my before and afters, but I've basically done all of that this year. And I think I've put in like 11 maybe 12 days stitching. This is so much fun to stitch. Between the bright colors and the blocks of stitching, it goes really pretty quick, and it's a lot of fun. I did change the cat a little bit. He's kind of got like crazy whiskers, but the way that the cat is charted, it was really weird. And I get it was supposed to be like yellow eyes with the red pupils, but I think it's too small of a face for that to really translate, so I changed him up a little bit and made him an all black cat with bright green eyes. So anyway, so this I will absolutely be finishing in October. It's going to be priority number 1 for October. So excited to finish that one up. So there is that. And that app that I mentioned, I will talk more about in a future video. Gotta stay on task here. Okay, next one is my only 2015 WIP that is not in a fancy project bag, and that is the November quilt. There we go. Also from the Quilts for All Seasons book by Paula Vaughn, and also on a 32 count Belfast linen in cream from Zweigart. And this one is so pretty. This is the whole reason that I got this book. It's the whole reason that I got into starting these. It's beautiful. I did a good chunk of progress this year, earlier this year. Really got into the quilt and making the maple leaves and whatnot. This one is smaller than August quilt, and so if I was smarter, I might have focused on this one to try to finish this one this year. Because it is smaller. They're not all the same. So this one would have gone faster. But, c'est la vie. Maybe I'll finish them both next year. So that is my November quilt. And this one, I think I have one past WIP go that I need to work on this for. Because I'm behind on WIP go. Haunted House is also in my zombie run. Okay, up next, living in this project bag here. This is a Momily bag. It's made by Emily of Eclectic Possessions. She hasn't put up any bags in a while, and she does it through a Facebook group, so there's nothing really for me to link for that. Okay, in here is my Dimensions Glory of Autumn. Move my cabochon out of the way. And this one I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish this year. Absolutely not. Too much to do. Just not far enough along on this. And this I started on October 20th, 2015. But nonetheless, this is a kit that I subbed out the fabric for a 28 count cashel linen, just because I prefer linen and I don't like the margins that Dimensions gives you with their kit fabrics, so it was kind of a no-brainer for me. So here is where I'm up to with this, and I did work on this recently. It came up in August for Arbitrary August, and so I put in a few days on it. Basically filling in here lots of 4 or 5 strand half stitch, and then some confetti down here with the trees intersecting the water wheel housing stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I was this last time, and I had a lot of fun working on it. This is the one I have two past WIP goes that I haven't quite met yet. My plan for WIP go this year was 5 days on the project as it was called. So this is another one that will see quite a bit of love in November, because it's not a sampler and it's not Dark October, but I will see it in November to hopefully play catch up. Okay, and the last one of my 2015 WIPs is living in this gorgeous bag from Jasmine Ravenclaw. This is from the Lula Pink, is it Curiouser and Curiouser? Is that the line? And the gorgeous Queen of Hearts. So this year I have been trying to get project bags so that my oldest WIPs are all in fancy project bags, with the exception of November Quilt. And my intent is kind of to always have a fancy lady on the go. And so I thought, I need a project bag that's fancy ladies. And then this popped up on Instagram, and I jumped on it. I was like, oh, that's perfect. Those Mirabilias, you know, they've always got like that haughty expression on their faces. So this is a Mirabilia. And this is Raven Queen. Gorgeous, gorgeous Raven Queen. And this is on a 32 count Belfast linen in Haunted by Picture This Plus. And here is where I'm up to. I've done a bunch of work on this year, and I'm super, super pleased with the progress. This is another one that I'm hoping to try to finish in October. I still have to work on it here in September because it's Zombie Run. It will get some love this month. Oh, she's gorgeous. And I'm loving the way that's looking in this camera. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So changes that I made, I stitched the skin 1/1 because I'm a glutton for punishment like that. I just like the way it looks, but it's time consuming. It's quite an effort. I also swapped out the black for Anchor Black because in my opinion and in my experience, Anchor Black is better than DMC 310. And the Krynics I swapped out for Petite Treasure Braid equivalents-ish. One of them, it calls for a Krynic cord? Krynic cable. And so way back when I bought the cable and then took a look at it and said no thank you. I have no interest in using that. So I swapped out for Petite Treasure Braids. So if you want to know which treasure braids I chose, let me know and I will pull that info for you. I am also swapping out the beads for Delicas, and I found a new bead source that I'd like to share with you. It's Aura Crystals, and they're great. They are fantastic. They have all of the Delicas, so if you're after them, and they have other brands too, but I really liked their selection because, you know, I used to use fusion beads, but they aren't operating the same anymore. They're still open, but like it's like you buy like 5 or 6 color. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, so that is Raven Queen. So I'm hoping that in October I can finish Haunted House and Raven Queen, and then I have a new start lined up and all of the other fun Dark October things. So that is the 2015s. So let me go grab 2016 and we'll keep this train going. Started on, let me see, January 1st, 2016. I shouldn't have had to look at that. Is my first of my Chatelaines. And this is Autumn Fairy. Oh, how pretty does she look? This is on a 32 count Belfast in Mellow from Picture This Plus. I love this one so much. She's gorgeous. I never work on her, but she's beautiful. I think I have most of the fairy done. There might be some little details here and there that I need to finish up. And then there's a mandala and a big old tree and stuff along the board. There's a ton left to do here. I do have the kit for this one, but this one's fairly reasonable. There's only a couple of silks and beads, and the Petite Treasure Braids. Yeah, I love this one. Super gorgeous. It's never the chatelaine that I gravitate towards first, but it's nonetheless is beautiful. Okay. With Mirabilia, my plan is to obviously finish Raven Queen. And then my next Raven Queen to focus on, we'll see a little bit later. Then after that, I'm going to work on them one at a time, I think chronologically. So this is technically my next one chronologically, but it's got to wait its turn, and I'll explain that when we get to the other project. Anyway, this one I know Laurel wants me to get to. This is Bluebeard's Princess Mirabella by Mirabilia. Yes, that's her whole name. And I love this one also. I hope y'all don't get tired of me saying I love this one, because I love them all for the most part. Alright, this is on a 32 count Belfast linen in NYX by Under the Sea Fabrics. And that sparkly thread is gridding so that I could work from her face over to this shell that she's holding over here. Oh, this is beautiful, is it not? This is a design that when I started it, my plan was to work on it to be my only project. I think I was doing like a monogamous March or something, and I burned out after a couple of weeks. But she's gorgeous, and I love her hair. Her skin is 1/1 because I am me. And I'm over the hardest part of her skin. So there's a stretch here of like 50 stitches, which translated to 1/1 is 200 stitches. So it was a lot. But I'm over the hump, so to speak, with her skin. There's still plenty to do, but that big section is done at least. I'm looking forward to getting back to that one. Gotta pick up the pace here. Okay, up next is something that I've been craving working on. This is Beauty and the Beast by Donna Stitch, and I love working on this because of the big chunks of color, and I love this needle minder. Speaking of this needle minder, I'm not telling you guys where I got my needle minders because the vast majority of them are from shops that no longer exist. And that is the case with this one. I got this one from Julie at Nifty Needle Nannies. I remember that. But she's not doing them. And I'm sure that you can find a Bejeweled Rose needle minder from somewhere else, but I don't know where you might find exactly one like this. I'm sorry, I always get questions about this one. Anyway, this is on a 32 count Belfast in cream from Zweigart. And this is where I'm up to. I started this in May of 2016. This was my first mania. And that's where I'm up to. I think I have page 1 finished, and I'm close on page 2. I think I have just some tiny details to finish page 2. Yeah, I enjoy this one a lot, and I'm looking forward to working on it again, whenever that may be. So much fun. I'm having some musings about 2022 because I'm me, but that's something that we can talk more about some other time, maybe when I have a better idea. Also from Mania 2016 is the ever lovely and out of print Queen Mermaid. Love her. This is on 32 count Belfast in As You Wish. And I have just a really very little done. By comparison. I mean, that tail is humongous and I'm just barely started it. This fabric is so beautiful. Under the Sea Fabrics, As You Wish. I don't know if I said that. Beautiful. Okay, up next I will insert a preview here. This is Horror Movie Alphabet by Clouds Factory. Oh, I love this piece. I love this project so much. This is on 32 count Belfast in Lycan's Moon by Under the Sea Fabrics. And this is one, like, I if I could just commit to doing one character a month, it would be done like 3 years ago. But I haven't done that yet. I haven't been able to stick to that. This will come out in October. I'm gonna try my damnedest to get this out in October, and I'd really like to get Elvira and Frankenstein's monster done. So much fun. So much fun. Okay. We go from horror movie alphabet to Nantucket Rose. This is by Lavender and Lace, Marilyn Levitt emblem. And this is a piece that I don't know that it's not that I don't love it. It's just that it's never the first one I want to grab when I'm thinking of picking up a different fancy lady. It's never the first one that jumps out to me. I don't know. I get into these modes of purging projects, and this one never gets purged. So I'll hold on to it and we'll see what happens. It's just that, you know, in 4 years, 5 years, this is all I've done, and it's all I've really wanted to do. And every time I pull it out to work on it, I get bored. Maybe I just need to work on it enough to get down to her, and I'll feel a little bit better. This is 32 count Belfast in Flax from Zweigart. Okay, here is a project that's almost finished, and that is Prairie Schooler ABC. It is almost finished in its sort of new form. I had intended on doing the full alphabet, including the ampersand, on 3 panels of fabric, 9 blocks per panel. I am now going to stop once I finish C is for cow and call it done. The reason for that is that I'm not prepared to commit to this big project, especially when Letitia, the crafty curator, she has changed hers to be much more meaningful. A is for activism and B is for Black Lives Matter. Yes, much more meaningful than A is for anchor and B is for blackbird and C is for cow. It's just, I just love hers so much that I don't need to stitch this version. I don't need to stitch the whole alphabet. Having ABC is enough for me. And so that's where I will stop. I had already started D is for drum, so I'll just go ahead and rip that out when it comes time. But I am totally cool with like being done. They're called for DMCs on 40 count Newcastle linen in platinum from Zweigart. The only change that I made was that I stitched the big letters in negative space. And I have just a little bit left of C is for cow to do in order to finish up this piece. So I think just a little ABCs is plenty. You know, it's something I could frame up with Baby Does Stuff's books. So yeah, that's my plan with that. And I do have all of the charts, but I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with them yet, so please don't ask me for them. Okay, up next is my arch nemesis. This is the Fantasy Sal by Lakeside Needlecraft, and this is a complete Sal. I just don't have the printout for the 12th block. I have the chart printed out, but I don't have the cover sheet for it. Anyway, this was designed by Doreen Jones, and it started in 2016, and I was going gangbusters, and I lost steam almost entirely. Not almost, I lost steam entirely. It's an intense piece. It's full. So here's where I'm up to, and as you can see, I don't really have a whole lot left to do. I have to finish out that last block. I have to do the inner ornaments in here. And then this one down here, I'm going to put BDS's information. The main reason is that that one repeats the snowflake, and I just didn't think I needed two of them. So I'm going to put her information in that. And then I've got the border, which is really, it's not hard. It's just involved. There's just a lot going on there. So I have some work to do yet. This is on a 32 count Belfast in Heroic by Picture This Plus. I thought Hero's Journey, fantasy. Up next, living in this beautiful bag. Is this not one of the most beautiful bags you've ever seen in your whole life? This is from Jan's Stitching Necessities. Yes, Jan's Stitching Necessities. And this was a gift from the ever wonderful Belinda Aussie Stitcher. So appropriately in here, I have my Snow Queen by Mirabilia. Belinda is so close to finishing hers. The stitching is done. She just has the beads to do. So very cool. I have an embarrassing amount done in 5 years, but we're not going there. Belinda and I, before we were friends, we started this project around the same time. And that's kind of what spurred on our friendship. So I have this on a stunning piece of fabric, and I absolutely cannot wait for this to be my focus mirror. It's a ways away, but this fabric, just take it in. It's beautiful, is it not? This is a 28 count opalescent cashel linen from Under the Sea Fabrics in the colorway Darkness Falls. And I have just the most ridiculous start on this 5-year-old piece. Yep, that's it. But I'm so stoked for when it's time for this one. I'm so ready for some good progress on this. You might be able to hear Baby Does Stuff. Danny Does Stuff has her in the other room and they're playing. So anyway, that is my Snow Queen. Okay, just 2 more for 2016. Up next we have August by the Cricket Collection. Y'all remember when I was all obsessed with the Cricket Collection monthlies? And then I finished all of the short months, April, May, June, July, and burned out, I guess. So this is August, and it's a beautiful design. And this is on, the tag is on this one. That's good, because I cannot remember. Pearl Gray. 32 count Pearl Gray Belfast linen. Oh, look. I have just the U started. I don't even have the U finished. Tons to go on this one. Okay, up next is something that I am considering restarting, and I'll explain here in a second. It's my final on-the-go Quilts for All Seasons quilt. And this is July. And the reason that I'm considering starting this one over is that it's the only one that I have that's on a 28 count cashel linen, whereas the other 2 were in a 32 count. Now, obviously, if, in 50 years, when I have all 12 of these finished and framed, they're not going to be all displayed at the same time. So it's okay if they're on different counts of fabric. But I don't know. A part of me kind of wants all of these to be on the same cream background. We'll see. I have quite a bit done here, so it's hard for me to just be like, yeah, I'll start over. So that is where I'm up to with July, and this one I haven't worked on. I think I have, I think this is the project where it's been the longest since I've worked on it. I think it was July or August of 2018. So it's been 3 years. And it's not coming up anytime soon. Yep. Yep. So that concludes the 2016s. So let me go gather the 2017s and I'll meet you back here. Roll on with 2017. On, I think this was January 1st. Yeah, January 1st, 2017. I started January. Very appropriate. By the Cricket Collection. And this one, I worked a little differently. I worked all the way across the top. So there's little bits done kind of all the way over. Yeah. And then the J is the most done. This is a 32 count Belfast in Ice Blue by Zweigart. And so that's where I'm up to with that one. It was a lot of fun, kind of working my way all the way across. It's not normally how I do things, but it was fun that time. So there is that one. Okay. Then we have another January 2017 start. My beloved Earth Goddess. This is like maybe one of my favorite Joan Elliott designs ever. Yeah, I love this one. I got the skin silks from Ymir Almond M&Ms, and I think that I'm going to use those for her. I have just never seen her as a white woman, and so I'm going to change her skin tone, and I'm thrilled, so excited. I haven't worked on this one in forever, but I am nonetheless thrilled for the next time I do work on it. This is 32 count Belfast in Dried Thistle by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And I have just a meager start on it. Some of the mushrooms are done. Bits of her skirt. Just a kind of a random assortment a little bit. But nonetheless, beautiful. Love those warm autumn colors. Good stuff. Okay, now we're going to get into a chunk of Mania 2017 starts. The first one I'm hoping is not going to make it to my next WIP Parade. But this is Stitch Rovia's Santa Coming to Town. It's such a little design, I cannot imagine why it's still hanging around, but anyway. So that is what that will look like. This is on a 32 count Belfast in Ice Crystals by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And I have just a very little bit left. Oh, that's looking so good and fairly close to accurate as far as the color of the fabric is concerned. So I have just the rest of the word town and then the town itself. So some to do yet, but not, I mean, if I could just focus on it for longer than 2 days, which seems to be every time I'm like, oh, I'm going to finish that. And then I get burnt out real easy. So hopefully this December I can knock this one out. Okay, up next is coming from the Fairy Enchantment book by Joan Elliott. And since having BDS, I have even more motivation for this one. So this is the one that I'm working on. It's called Once Upon a Time. And it's a little mom fairy reading to a kid fairy. And they're kind of imagining this castle, I think. That's how I'm interpreting it. This is on a 32 count Belfast in Iris by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And just a little start. There's a ton of colors up in that castle. It is deceiving. It looks like it would be simple, but there's a lot of colors going on. Joan Elliott kind of has a 3-shade rule, I've noticed, and so each of those different things has 3 shades. 3 shades of purple and 3 shades of gold, etc. So that is where I am with this one. Just a bare start. Isn't that fabric gorgeous though? Stunning. That's really pretty. Up next is one of my favorites, and I didn't get to work on this summer, and I'm not going to before it's no longer summer by the calendar. Summer Sampler by Cooler Design Studio. I mean, I technically could pull this out for Sampler September, but I'm kind of more focused on my reproduction samplers than just anything that might be considered sampler. Anyway, I love this piece, and I got to work on it last year quite a bit. So maybe next year. Who knows? We'll see. 32 count cream Belfast linen. And that's where I'm up to. I have a little more than a page done, and I am trying to do some backstitch as I go, but you know, not always. So for instance, like the watermelon banner, still quite a bit of backstitch left to do yet. Oh, so much fun. This is another one that has 1,000,000 quarter stitches and 18 different colors of backstitch, and it's just a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun. So that is Summer Sampler. Okay, here's another Mirabilia that, oh, so excited. Garden Beauty. This is not one that you see too often, but I love her. I really adore her. Really, really gorgeous. This is MD86, and I don't think she's out of print. And she is on another stunning fabric. This is 32 count Belfast in Caradwen by Hand Dyed by Stephanie, or Caradwen. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure which one, but isn't that fabric gorgeous? Pinks and greens and grays. And just a little start. So there's that one. It's going to be a long time before I can focus on that, that's for sure. Up next is a project that, if we're talking about purging projects, I always think I might purge this one, and then I look at it and I'm like, no, I can't. Around the World in 80 Stitches by Papillon Creations. This is a free design that you get on the Papillon Creations website. You have to sign up for a newsletter or something like that, and that's how you get access to this. This is part 1 of 24. It's 80 specialty stitches. And I think there's a cross stitch only version, but obviously I'm doing the specialty stitch version. This is just part 1. And this is on a 32 count Belfast in Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie. And this is right side up. Just the littlest start on the first heart. But gorgeous, look at those specialty stitches, those are fun. Some really fun stuff going on there. This is good. Yeah, I can't UFO this. Even though I never work on it. Despite like all of the times that it's been on WIP Go, and I just never work on this, and I don't know why. But it's beautiful. So it will stay in the WIPs, and maybe I'll never finish it, but I guess that's not the point. Okay, up next is something I will insert the preview for. This is the Stark House Banner. It is by Lolita Made on Etsy. I have no idea if they're still in business, but anyway, this is on 32 count Belfast in Valerian Steel by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And it's just a monochrome design. Very, very cool. They have one for each of the major houses in Game of Thrones. And I'm stitching mine using DMC 762, which is like the palest of blues, but on this fabric it looks white. And the only change I made was I changed the lettering. If you'll see in the preview, it kind of has this curly Q kind of happy font, and I wanted something much more Game of Thrones. I used long stitches here, so like I can get my nail under there. So this one will need to be stretched, just so that those long stitches aren't like that in the final finished form. But anyway, there is that. And I still love that one a lot. I love monochrome stitching. It's just a lot of fun. Easygoing and lots of fun. Okay, up next is Ladybird Fairy by Joan Elliott. And this is another one that I always consider UFOing if I'm in the purge mood. And the reason for that, for this one, is the fabric. I love the fabric color, but it is a Picture This Plus linen, and it's so tight, it's so dense. Even like to the hand, it feels more like a 40 count. But I'm stitching it with 2 strands. I'm pretty sure this is closer to a 36 count. Like after the dyes, it's like a 36, maybe 38. It's really dense fabric. And so I struggle with it when I work on it, which obviously I haven't done much, but yeah. So we'll see how I feel the next time I pull this one out. If this one might be a restart on a less dense fabric at some other time. I love that image, the ladybirds or ladybugs. Super cute. Up next is a Dimensions kit. I started this piece in the fall of 2017. Oh, look. 4 years ago today. How cool was that? In the hopes of having something to stitch on a Q-snap while we watched football. And so I did that very first day, and then never again. So this is Wise Owl. And artist is Russell Cobain. And again, I swapped out the kit fabric for 28 count cashel linen in antique white. So let me see if I can find my start. And it's a lot of high strand half stitch in there so far. Not a whole lot to see just yet. But that's the top left corner. So yeah. That's one that I would really like to stitch. I just gotta get back to it. Up next is Living in This Bag, which I believe is also Pineapple House. Gorgeous. You know I love me some pumpkins. And in here is my beloved, let's see if I can get it out. There we go. Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow, which hasn't seen the light of day yet this year, which is just very strange for me. It's weird that I haven't worked on it yet, but don't you worry, because October is coming. And this is on a 40 count Newcastle linen in Country Mocha from Zweigart. I have blocks 1 through 5 done, and it looks so stinking good. Look at that. How pretty. And so block 6 is started, and I'm doing the DMC with the exception of black. I swapped for anchor black. But other than that, that's where I'm at with this one. Oh, it's so gorgeous, is it not? So gorgeous. Yay, October is coming. Does anybody else feel kind of bittersweet that October is coming? I feel bittersweet. I feel it's a bittersweet thing because I get so excited for October and then it's over. And then we have to wait a whole year for another October. Such is life. Okay. Up next is October by the Cricket Collection. So this is my last of the 3 that I currently have on the go. And this one I started in October of 2017 and I have barely worked on it since. I had a counting error here and then I have to fudge. So I have some work to do to get that fixed up. And this is on I think this is a 32 count Belfast linen in Gingerbread by Picture This Plus. Oh my gosh, that fabric is so beautiful. I love gingerbread. It's a beautiful, beautiful color. So that's where I'm up to with this one. Just the first pumpkin done, not even the letter yet. I wonder if that's a silken colors, because some of these require silken colors for the lettering and some of them don't. Okay, that's it for 2017. So let's roll right into 2018. And my new start on January 1st, 2018 lives in this beautiful bag. And in here is my Poison Garden, Hortus Venenum by Chatelaine. And this is where oh man, this is gonna look so good in this camera. It's gonna pick up all that sparkle. Yeah, kind of picks up the sparkle. There is a ton of Petite Treasure Braid and Petite Silk Lame and silk in this. Tons of sparkle, and I haven't even touched on the beads yet. Gorgeousness. Here's another one that I may try to work on in October. See what I'm talking about? October. I'm already running out of time in October and we're not even there yet. Between those finishes and the couple that I really want to work on, never enough time. Anyway, so that is Hortus Venenum. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I haven't worked on it this year, and that is a tragedy in and of itself. Up next is sort of a WIP. We'll go with that. It is the Farmhouse Christmas series by Little House Needleworks. So this is all 9 of them. And I have 3 of them finished and none currently on the go. So I just thought I'd bring the 3 that I have done just to show you real quickly. So there's that. So those are the 3 that I have finished using all of the called for threads except for I swapped out the bamboo for a DMC equivalent because ain't nobody got time for all that white in a not very good. So that is where I'm at with Farmhouse Christmas. And I have some, they're on 32 count flax Belfast linen, and I have some on its way to me so that I can maybe try to get some more of those started in December, so that I can continue working on that, because I'd really like to get that series done. I have the farmhouse window with the 9 blocks, but that's for a future finishing. Long way in the future. Up next, living in this Momily bag, we're gonna have quite a few Momily bags here, right in a row. So in this gorgeous one is my Witches of Salem by the Primitive Hair. And I've spent a couple of years trying to finish this, and it still hasn't happened yet. I still have quite a bit left to do. But maybe we'll work on it in October. And this is on a 28 count Marron linen, which is a little bit stiffer than his Weigart Cashel, but it's beautiful nonetheless. And this was dyed by Extra Design in the color Gold Sand. And I kind of picked all of my threads for this. Just a mess of different things, hand dyed, and I changed the colors called for. And yeah, some DMC and obviously some Anchor Black because I can't get away from it. But anyway, it's so gorgeous. Absolutely so gorgeous. So looking forward to working on that, hopefully in October. Do you think if I say I'm going to work on this in October that will help October stretch out a little bit? I'm gonna try it. Okay, up next is in this Momily bag. I told you I've got a few of them here. And this is the incomparable Fairy Moon, which was a gift from Belinda Aussie Stitcher. She said that she had a dream about seeing Fairy Moon and Stargazer framed up together in my home, and so she decided to make it happen. And so we started that for, was it World Cross Stitch Day a couple years ago? 2018? And this is on a gorgeous linen. It's huge. I think it's a 28 count. Yes, this is a 28 count cashel linen. And the colorway is Shadow by Picture This Plus, which is showing up fairly accurately there. And so I have the stitching done in the moon. It's just beads from here for the moon. And I have her head started, not quite finished yet. So let me fold up and bring her head in a little closer. So that's where I'm up to with this one. And we're all just wishing and hoping and praying that I counted right. Fortunately, I don't think it matters all that much. Just because she is entirely separate from the moon. So if I'm off by a stitch or even a half a stitch, you know, it's not a big deal. Because nothing, I don't think anything is going to connect up together for those two. So that's where I'm at with Fairy Moon. And the sun has finally moved to this side of the house. So our lighting is changing a little bit. A long time before that one's a focus. Up next is kind of an interesting case. So it's living in this Mommy bag. Some Dia de los Muertos skulls. And the inner fabric that gets me every time. Every time. So I attempted to film this WIP Parade a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't having a great mental health time, shall we say, and so I scrapped it, obviously. And then while I was filming that WIP Parade, when I showed this piece, I said that I intended on restarting it. So this is Hocus Pocus by Prairie Schooler. Super, super cute. Started for Dark October in 2018, and on a 32 count Belfast linen in cream from Zweigart. And I said that I was considering restarting it on a 40 count raw. And then I pulled it out and I'm looking at it and I'm showing it and I'm like, I don't know if I can restart this. I don't know if I really want to. I don't know. It would be cool if it was a little bit tinier, but it looks so stinking good that I don't think I can restart it, and I don't think I want to. So I'll try to work on it in October along with everything else and make that decision officially. So that's Hocus Pocus. So silly. I mean, I bought the fabric to be able to restart it. Okay, let's see here. Up next is something that I started at Stitch Fest in 2018 and haven't worked on since. This is Scary Night 2 by Hand Blessings. And if you can hear that, that's my ice machine. So yeah, Scary Night 2, and yeah, this is a monochrome design. It should go fairly quickly, but I haven't worked on it. It's on this beautiful fabric. It's a 32 count Belfast in Dreamsicle by Under the Sea Fabrics. And that's showing up fairly accurately. And I'm stitching it with Anchor Black 2/2. So yeah, I mean, just the saddest little retreat start here. But I like this would go really quickly because monochrome stitching, you know, it's always pretty fast. Don't have to think about changing colors, just go. It's still big, obviously, but nonetheless. Anyway, so that's one that I hope to get back to in October. Okay, do you remember way back when I was talking about Mirabilia, and I said that after Raven Queen, I've got to work on this project, and then I'll start working through my Mirabilias chronologically. This is that project. Touching the Autumn Sky. Oh, glare. So this design is out of print, hard to find, and highly sought after, and I have it on loan. And I have an embarrassing amount done for a design I have on loan. So I need to get cracking on this, and I need to finish Raven Queen as quickly as possible so that I can focus on this gorgeous, gorgeous girl. So pretty. And this fabric, I'm just like, I love this fabric choice. This is 32 count Belfast in Moana by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And we are up here in the top left corner. Just a very little start. I started this at the end of 2018 and I haven't worked on it since. Or maybe once since, but not hardly at all. So very much looking forward to getting back into this. Hopefully this year, maybe in November. Look, something I'm going to work on in November, not October. I missed one. So before touching the Autumn Sky, I have in this Evertotes bag, so not a Momly bag. Surprises. So this is a bag from Evertotes, and this is my Give Thanks by the Drawn Thread. I love drawn thread designs. They are so much fun. And this is always one that I go, if I spent just, 5, 6, 7 days on that, that'd be finished. But here it sits, not finished yet. This is on a 32 count Belfast in Vintage Country Mocha from Zweigart. And I am using the called for dinky dyes, which aren't variegated. And I swapped out the MPIs for DMC because, yeah, there's a lot of MPI for solid colors. So that's where I'm up to. And lots of little specialty stitches and just beautiful. I mean, just beautiful. So that is my Give Thanks, and I look forward to working on this one again. Okay, then we have in this Momly bag, we're back to the Momly bags. This is Animal Stacks Quartet. So this is kind of a mashup of 4 of the Plum Street Samplers animal stacks. And so I have Sheep Heap, Goat Load, and Gobble Gob, and then I think I'm gonna do Reindeer Stack as my 4th one. So one kind of to represent each season. This is on 32 count Belfast in Colonial Parchment by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And we all started Goat Load for Emily's birthday 2019. Yeah. So I started this in 2018 in anticipation of No Starts 2019 that I failed at, but that's fine. And so I started with Sheep Heap, and then Goat Load is there. Gobble Gob will go here, and then the winter one will go here, and so it'll be more wheel-like. And this is using a mix of the called for threads and also stuff pulled from stash, like close substitution kind of a thing. I don't much care for Weeks Dye Works threads, and so if I don't have it in stash, then I'll swap out for color and cotton or Gast or etc. So there's that. Okay, last one for 2018 is in this project bag here. This is by Diddly Daddle Designs, which is absolutely gorgeous. And this inner fabric, which always gets me. And in here is my Songbirds Garden Series focus, which currently is Have Faith / family. So this is Have Family. And I call it Have Family because I changed it up and replaced Faith with Family. Because it's just much more important in my life. And it's beautiful. This is on a 32 count Belfast in vintage cedar plank from Lakeside Linens. Gorgeous, gorgeous vintage cedar plank. Lakeside, I miss you. Does anybody know what's going on with Lakeside? I miss Lakeside Linens. Anyway, gorgeous. Swapping for the DMCs. Vinny provides a conversion with the charts, and so I go with what she says. Beautiful. I love these. I have intentions of stitching all 12. I have one finished and a total of 3 on the go. Okay, that's it for 2018. All right, so let's roll right into 2019. We are 48 down with 40 to go. Up first in 2019, I have a design by Tanya Amity on Etsy. This is a Russian design and it's called Fight Like a Girl. And it is a bookshelf with lots of characters. And this is 32 count Belfast in Night's Watch by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And so I have just the top shelf done. You'll have seen a preview of what the whole thing will look like. Really and truly, this is a full coverage design. So doing it on a hand-dyed fabric was a choice, but I just wanted something deep and dark to go back behind it. Eventually I would like to do the Fellas version as well, but started with this one. I guess I don't have that top shelf done, and I certainly don't have it backstitched yet, so long way to go with this one, but it's gorgeous. Up next, living in this bag that was a gift from Cassie. I think she made this one. And in it is Blackwater Hollow by Stacy Nash. Gorgeous. This is a design that I started in September of 2019 and ended up restarting last year because I much prefer 40 count linen for this design. Okay, so this is on a color and cotton linen. I think it's Cottage Stone, if memory serves. And I am using a mix of threads. I think they're mostly the called for, but I worked in a color and cotton here and there for this one. But that's beautiful. Yeah, gorgeous. Gorgeousness. Love this one. Love my stitches on this. So that will hopefully get some love in October. Started in October of 2019 at the last Stitch Fest retreat is my Thine is the Trick and the Treat living in this gorgeous project bag here. Also a Momly bag. And this is by the Prairie Moon. This is an original. It's not one of the PDF re-releases. I paid for this. And then Prairie Moon was like, hey, we're back. You can buy our PDFs. Yay. But anyway, that's okay. So that is Thine is the Trick and the Treat. And I am stitching this with a beautiful silk. It is PR 070, I think, which is a dark, dark, dark charcoal gray black. It's really kind of, it's not super variegated, but it's just a beautiful gray black color. And I've also added in some Belle Soie in Elegant Eggplant and some DMC Etoile 310. So lots of fun stuff going on in this one. And this is on a 32 count Belfast in Jamie's Kilt by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. And so this is where I am up to. And oh good, you're getting some of the sparkle. So the witch is done in that etoile. She's kind of shimmery. Yeah, there's a couple of things that I will substitute in the etoile. And then the Elegant Eggplant, the Belle Soie, is all of the letters. So back here, you can't tell that I'm not using the PR70 for the letters. But that's okay. I can see it in person, and I adore this one. So fun. Such a cool fabric for a Halloween design, in my opinion. Okay, the next project that I started in 2019 was Garden of Erie by Plum Street Samplers. I started this with Deborah from Stitch the Stash. I haven't worked on mine since, but nonetheless, we started it together. Most Sal's are start-alongs anyway, right? So this is on a 32 count Belfast in double dipped Keone. So what that means is that this is the Keone colorway, but she double dipped it for just a little bit richer or deeper color. So let me see. This is the back. Let's try that again. There we go. A gorgeous, gorgeous purpley blue color. And this gray-green cloud. This is all in DMCs. And that's where I got started. So maybe in October. I've really got to come up with a more coherent plan for October. Do I work on those things that haven't worked on much, haven't seen any love, or what? But I've got those two projects that I'm trying to finish in October, so we shall see. Okay, let's see, two more for 2019. Up next is something that I worked on already in September for Sampler September. This is Leah Gronow 1872 by Merrywind Farm. Emily C. of Eclectic Possessions and I, we started this together, and I have mine started on a 32 count Belfast linen in vintage exemplar? Nope, Meadow Rue. Vintage Meadow Rue from Lakeside. And I am a long way from finishing, but oh my goodness, does this fabric look good on this screen. So, this last time I worked a lot of border. I got in the mood for border, which when that happens, like, I've got to take full advantage, right? And so I did a bunch of border work most recently. And then I was trying to get the first alphabet done, but I couldn't quite get there. Ran out of time. This is so beautiful. So this is supposed to be done in Gentle Arts wools. However, Melinda of Merrywind Farm, she has a conversion to the sampler threads. And then I swapped out Buckeye Scarlet for Geranium, both by Gas, of course. And then the house, it's so funny. So I was thinking, you know, I want to switch up for the house because it's DMCs. She calls for a couple of DMCs, and the house is done in a DMC. And so I was thinking, I want to switch that up. So I'm playing around in my thread stash, and I pull chamomile, and I'm like, okay, let's go with chamomile. And wouldn't you know it, Emily stitched hers in chamomile. Like, what is that? So I'm either going to copy her, at least that's what it's going to look like, or find something else. Maybe I'll find a color in cotton that kind of looks like it or something. Same wavelengths. Anyway, so that is where I am currently up to with Leah, and maybe she'll get finished next year. Maybe, we'll see. Last one for this set is Living in This Beautiful Bag by Stitch All the Things, Christine. Beautiful fall bag. And in here is my autumn sampler by the Cooler Design Studio. And this needle minder, it's the Anne of Green Gables quote, "I'm so glad I live in a world where there are Octobers." I love this piece. I started this in fall of 2019, and I haven't been able to work on it since, but I got a pretty good start on it back then. This is, I think it's flax, flax Belfast, and that is where I'm up to. Gorgeous colors. These designs are just so much fun to stitch. I am looking forward to getting back to this. Maybe this fall, maybe in November. We shall see. All right, that is it for the 2019s. So let me go grab 2020, which is a lot, and we'll get going. 2020 and 2021, here we go. This is the last big chunk. 2020, there's a lot. So let's get going. And the first is a project that I am so excited about, but I may be restarting. So this is Anton Offendal by Hands Across the Sea. I have the sisters because charity and such paid for it, and then they re-released them, which is fine. I think I might be restarting this because I originally started it on a piece of fabric that I had, rather than going for the fabric that I wanted, and I'm not loving my stitches on this fabric. So here is where I'm up to. This is a 40 count Newcastle linen in Dusky Twilight by Dixie Sampler. And it's a big enough piece. I mean, it's gigantic, which is what I need. And it's a beautiful color, but I wanted something warmer. And so I don't know. And I'm not loving the way my stitches look. This, I am using all of the called for Avereswa Soie d'Alger silks, 1/2. And I started this for my New Year, New Start last year. And then I worked on it at the end of 2020, which is kind of how I like to do things. I like to finish the year with the project that I started, the first project that I started in that year. I never showed it to you because I was working on this project on the 29th, 30th, and 31st, which were Thor's last days. And I kind of associate this project with losing Thor, and that's not fair to this piece. So that's another reason why I'm thinking about restarting it on different fabric. I have some videos of Thor playing. I'm going to try not to cry here. I have some videos of Thor playing with this project. Like, I was sitting in my stitching chair while he was playing on his last day. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's beautiful, and I want it to be right, and I don't want to have this negative, sad associated with it. So, to be determined. I pulled this out the other day to work on, and I couldn't stop thinking about Thor, so I had to put it down and switch gears. Okay, up next is this project that it's super little, and it would be such a quick finish if I would just focus on it. Living in a Love You More Studio Co. book sleeve / project sleeve. This is Cottage Garden Sampling's Halloween Sampler 1. She recently, like within the last 6 months, I think, released a couple more. One for Halloween and another for Christmas. But this is the first one. And I had grand plans of stitching this throughout the year, and trying to do a letter every 2 weeks, I think is what it would have taken. This is on 32 count Belfast in Tombstone from Color and Cotton. I think this was a Halloween box special. And that is where I got to. So I got, it looks like, to February and then lost steam. This is using all of the called for fancies. They're all Gentle Arts. So yeah, this would be a really quick one if I would just, you know, get a move on and work on it. Okay, maybe in October. That's going to be the tagline for this video, is maybe in October. Okay. Where am I on my thing? Okay, up next is a project that I started in January of last year and haven't worked on since. It is Anniversaries of the Heart. This is just the first one, Snow Garden. And I'm actually really glad that I didn't finish this block already, because when I started this, Baby Does Stuff existed in no capacity. And so now I can stitch her initials into this January block since her birthday's in January. So that's kind of cool. It's maybe some premonitory thoughts that I had. This is on 40 count Newcastle in Almond by Silkweaver. And let me see if I can find, there's my start right there. This block doesn't show up too well on most fabrics, but the rest of the blocks are much deeper threads. And believe it or not, there are 2 white colors there. 2 white, off-white threads. 2 different ones. And I'm going to use all of the called for threads for these and stitch them all together. So that is Anniversaries of the Heart. Okay, up next is another favorite, Cottage Garden Samplings. This is Songbird's Garden number 4, Promise of Spring. And that gorgeous Michelle Obama binder there. Love that. And this, so I'm doing the DMC for all of these, and this one, the DMCs are so bold. Super bold. So if I had done this conversion myself, I might have chosen some softer colors. I mean, this is supposed to be very spring-like and pastel-y, and these are pretty rich summer tones, but I mean, it's still gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, and you know I love that maroon and orange one. This is 32 count Belfast in Seaside by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. Gorgeous. Okay. Up next is something that I started kind of on a whim. This is on a 28 count cashel linen from Color and Cotton called 1776. It was in a 4th of July box. And this design is It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere by Jen Hicks. Super simple design, just a few colors. And so I'm doing Anchor Black, and then I pulled a couple of Color and Cottons that are close to the called for DMCs. So super fast design and Pattern Keeper compatible, which is always fun. Okay, up next is another Cooler Design Studio. This one is Celtic Angel. This is designed by Barbara Batts. And I started this for Two Martini Stitcher Erin, her birthday last year. And I really love this. She's really something special. I really love her. So this is on a 32 count Belfast from Color and Cotton in Shiplap. And I worked on this for a few days and not since. I think I need either Krynex or Petite Treasure Braids. I can't remember right. In order to be able to continue on with the wing and such. So and also to finish what's going on up here. Her skin is stitched 1/1, and except for her hands, later the skin is done, so that's pretty cool. I love her auburn hair. It's beautiful. Super pretty. Looking forward to getting into the colors of this one. Okay, up next is this beauty. Seeking Refuge by the Scarlet House. This was market release last year. And how fitting it became, huh? So, I fell in love with this long before pandemic, and I needed this in my life, and then it kind of became the pandemic sampler, but that's okay. So mine is on a 40 count Newcastle linen in, I think it's light mocha is what it's called, or mushroom, using a mix of called for threads and some not called for, if I remember right. Some close substitution kind of a situation. So that's where I got to. We're back to this where the coverage on the roof looks better in person than it does on camera there, but that's okay. I love this piece and I cannot wait to get back to it. Super, super pretty. And I do have the full width of it. Yep, love that one. Okay, so now we're going to get into Stitch Mania 2020, and I had a ton of new starts for Mania last year. So, up first, on May 1st, I started the Rolodex Morning Sampler by Bendy Stitchy. And these get a little bit out of order, so this is the only one that I know for certain I started on the 1st. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful design. And I am using 32 count Belfast in Lapis by Under the Sea Fabrics, and a mix of threads, some called for, some not so much. And whoo, gorgeous, gorgeousness. I remember falling in love with stitching that tree, and I am very much looking forward to stitching on that tree some more. I may be able to do the Blimey Cat method at Mania next year, and if so, that would be really cool because I can pull this out for at least the 1st. Quite simply, one of my favorites, if not my favorite thing that I started at Mania last year. This is Music Amongst the Trees by Rosewood Manor. I adore this design so much. Just so much fun. Holy color changes Batman, but I mean, that's kind of the Rosewood Manor way, isn't it? This is on a 32 count Belfast in light mocha from Zweigart. And I got pretty far in this one. This one came out a couple of times though, to get lots of stitches in it. There's like little bits. It's confetti without being confetti, but it's fun. It's just a lot of fun. Looking forward to getting back to this one. Next is Heap on the Wood by Brenda Gervais, or With a Needle. No, this is Brenda Gervais, and I love this a whole lot. I think I'm using a mix of called for and not called for threads, or maybe I totally converted this one. This is Vintage Maple Sugar by Lakeside, 32 count Belfast. So it's gonna be ginormous because it's on 32 count, but that's okay. And beautiful. I mean, just stunning. Yeah, I love that. Can't believe I didn't finish that house, but this is all one day of stitching, so I guess I can't be too mad at that. Beautiful. I call that my Christmas with the De Winters. Rebecca. Okay, I know that this is out of order. From Blackbird Designs Sweet Land of Liberty, I am working on this design right here, titled American Eagle. I worked on this recently in Sampler September, but for 9/11. I was very much in my feels on 9/11 this year. And so patriotic stitching is never, I just don't go for it. But I felt like it was the right thing to work on, at least on that day. I got stuff. And this is a conversion for the most part. This is 40 count Newcastle in Stratus by Color and Cotton. And I'm a big fan of this color. So this last time I worked on the stars and a little bit of eagle body. When I came into Sampler September, I had 4 reproductions on the go. And of those 4, this one is the one that I wasn't necessarily looking forward to as much as the others. And I almost abandoned all plans and continued working on this until finished or through the end of the month. I really could have worked on this a lot longer than the few days I was able to give it. Yeah. So this is on a 40 count Newcastle linen in platinum, alabaster from Zweigart. And here is where I'm up to. I'm stitching it using Gentle Arts Cherry Bark. And I have 3 skeins of cherry bark, and they are all fairly different. So I've sort of allocated them to different sections. So I have a skein that I used for the alphabet and the top borders that I'll use for these borders here that go around the outside. I have a skein for the eagle and associated leaves, and then I have another skein for these motifs that are repeated 4 times around. Just to try to avoid any very obvious dye lot differences, because a couple of them, 2 of them look very, very different. So yeah, I loved this. I loved every minute of stitching on it. I just had an absolute ball and had a hard time putting it down. Okay. Up next is a Mirabilia that I started. This is Moonflowers, and I started this with a few ladies on Virtual Stitchers. So gorgeous, gorgeous lady. And mine is on a 32 count Belfast linen in Whole Lotta Love from Color Cascade. It was a gift fabric from Belinda. And I have just the barest start on the moon, but holy intricacy. Isn't that intense? There's quite a bit going on. There's going to be a whole bunch of beads in there, which will be just so much fun. And this fabric is a stunner, is it not? Gorgeousness. So that is my start on Moonflowers. Okay, next we'll do this one. Living in this bag from Stitch and Button with the bully on it is Mirabilia's Crescent Dreams, and these are out of print from what I understand. I don't know how hard they are to find, but I started this on the day that I found out that I was pregnant, and I have the weakest start. This is a 32 count Belfast in Opalescent Avalon from Under the Sea Fabrics, and there's my start. Yeah, I know it's just a few stitches, but I was trying to be sneaky and start this before I even told Danny the news, and I haven't worked on it since. But it's okay. Not a big deal. Okay, up next is a favorite that I wanted to get to in August for the Full Coverage Fanatics Less Is More event, but I just never could. This is Sweater Weather by Carolyn Manning Designs, aka Manic Manning Sal, if I remember right. Anyway, a whole bunch of us started a design from Carolyn Manning for Mania last year. And so I started Sweater Weather on 32 count cream Belfast linen from Zweigart. And this is a fabric that had an old start that I UFO'd on it, so just fold that up. So that's where I got to. Just a little bit of stitching on this one. A little bit of progress on that. Beautiful. Love those colors. You know I love those colors. Okay, up next we have Plum Street Jack's Bash. Super, super fun. And this is on a 40 count linen from R&R in the color Sea Fog, using all of the called for threads. I pulled all the called fors for this one. So much fun. Maybe in October. A lot of, the majority of these Mania starts, you know, only got their one day of start and then nothing since, so that's just Mania, that's how it goes. This is Good Intentions by Kathy Barrick. Such a quick stitch if I just spend some time on it. This is on a 32 count Belfast linen from Hand Dyed by Stephanie in Winter Wishes. And this is another UFO'd project fabric. But here's my start. Super simple start. I did a color conversion to Hokey colors, as you do. Beautiful. Whew, this is my saddest, one of my saddest Mania starts. Castles by the Sea by Teresa Wensler. Super, super, I love this one. This has always been one of my favorite Teresa Wensler designs. Out of print, not so hard to find though. And it is on a 32 count Belfast linen in cream from Zweigart. And oh, look at that. The real reason for it, that this start was so weak, is that by the time I got to this point in Mania, which was halfway through towards the end, I was out of DMC. Like, I was running out of threads. And so I didn't have the first couple of blues that I needed for that. And so I did what I could, basically. Yep. It's a terrible start. Okay, here's a design that I am considering restarting or just changing up. This is Long Dog Samplers Sans Souci. And I am stitching it on ice blue Belfast linen using a group of threads that I pulled based on a palette on stitchpalettes.com. I believe it was called Earth and Sky, and it's an elephant. And so I'm using 995 and 996, 37.99, and then 2 browns, I believe. 1 or 2 browns. And I'm considering starting over and just doing 37.99 and 995. So ripping out the brown and then just doing 2 colors. Because figuring out where to put the colors is so hard for me. That's a really difficult task for me. So I'm thinking about doing all of the borders in the gray and then all of the fun stuff in the blue. You know, I love me some 995. Oh, here's Sammy J Stitches and I. It's our only Sal. Well, I guess it's the only Sal between just she and I. But this is Merry and Bright, also Cottage Garden Sampling, Songbird's Garden. Love this one. And this is on 32 count Belfast in Carol's Meadow by Silkweaver. And again, I'm doing the DMC conversion. However, I changed one of the reds because these berries are outlined in one color and filled in with another. And the DMC conversion, they were almost identical. So I changed the reds. If you need to know which ones, let me know and I'll find that out. I can't remember off the top of my head, but so that's where I got to with it. And I know that Sammy has worked on hers since, and yeah, she's gonna She's gonna beat me. She's gonna beat me to the finish line on that one, but that's okay. Okay, up next, it was my last new start for Stitch Mania last year, and that was Spring Dragon by Ingleside Imaginarium. And I started it on this gorgeous green linen. It's like, I can't remember the name of it. It was a coloring cotton from the Halloween mystery box, and I think it's a 32 count. And just a beautiful dragon. I thought, I'm doing the Blimey Cat method, I may as well do an Ingleside Imaginarium dragon. So that was my final start for Mania. Okay, so next we're going to get to Sampler September 2020, and I had one new start. I like to have a new start for each Sampler September and Dark October, and so this was my new start for 2020, and lives in this project bag here, and this is Elizabeth Biggs 1833 by GGR. Beautiful design, beautiful verse, humongous. I mean, just humongous. Border is super duper intricate. This is what I'm currently working on, so I have it on the frame. And that is where I'm up to. This is on a 40 count Newcastle linen in Legacy by Picture This Plus. And I'm using all of the called for threads. I was finally able to track down enough cucumber and I found a skein of dark chocolate, which is so hard to find. So that's where I'm up to. Sorry y'all, I got itchy nose a little bit. So I started it last year, and then I've worked on it yesterday. I haven't done any stitching yet today, but love this. So much fun. I'm stitching this along with Sarah X Stitches, Sarah_X_stitches on Instagram. This is the unsow, because we never seem to work on it at the same time. Even though we are sowing it. Okay, up next is my Dark October start for last year. I think this was the only, this was the only thing I started last year. And this is The Lunar Witch by Autumn Lane Stitchery. Love this. And their new releases from Expo. Anyway, I'm also excited to see what they've got coming out for Galleria. But anyway, okay, Lunar Witch. Love this a whole lot. And this is on 32 count Belfast in Purple Pansies by Hand Dyed by Stephanie, which by name doesn't sound very Halloweeny, but by appearance it sure does. And I have just the simplest little start on it. These Autumn Lane Stitchery designs are great, kind of not really mindless stitching, but almost, because it's lots of big blocks of color. So that was my simple little start there for the start of Dark October last year. Okay, coming to the end of 2020 here. This I started towards the end of the year. This is from Mandarinks Designs on Etsy, and it's Dumbo. So cute. Need to get this finished up for baby girl's bathroom. And I started it on a hot pink fabric. This is Florin by Under the Sea Fabrics. Wild piece, I know. But that is where I got to at my start last year. This is mostly half stitch background, if not entirely. Yeah, it looks to be entirely half stitch background. And then Dumbo and the water and the bucket, they are all full cross. So pretty. So pretty. Looking forward to working on that again sometime eventually soon-ish. We'll see. Okay, I guess that was my last 2020 start. That's pretty cool. Okay, so let's get into 2021, our last segment. I have had some starts this year. I was going to try a no new starts year, and then it got to be my birthday. It usually is my birthday that kind of sabotages me with no new starts. This year I started from Long Dog Samplers, opening Gambit. Preview here of what that will look like. I am stitching mine on a 32 count Belfast in Vintage Country Mocha from Zweigart using DMC 902. I thought it would be something that would be really cool for our game room, and so Danny said you should stitch it in orange or maroon, so I picked maroon. Super fun. My plan with new starts here in 2021 is that I would like to get 2100 stitches in. You know, good theme. And this one hasn't reached it yet, so I need to pull this one back out at some point. Not in October. Okay, then we get to Mania 2021, in which I had 3 new starts for Mania, one on each of 3 Sundays. And the first one that I started was this design here, which was a gift from Carolina. This is Mouse House, buttons and beads, and it's just so stinking cute. And I had originally started it on the perforated paper. You can see that. See that there. I started it on the perforated paper, and I wasn't loving my stitches on it. So I hemmed and hawed and molded over, and when I pulled it out for Arbitrary August, I decided to try it just a little bit more, just to see for sure, and I just wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't having fun. So I stopped immediately and switched to fabric. And the fabric that I chose is a 28 count cashel linen in Ale from Picture This Plus, and I got going on it on the fabric and am loving it on the fabric. Loving it on the fabric. So, yeah, much happier with this. And I even got in some beadwork, which makes me so happy. Yeah, much, much more enjoying this. And it went pretty fast. So, good to go with that. Okay, my second Mania start for this year was the Mothers and Daughters Sampler by the Victoria Sampler. I started this on Mother's Day. Got it for Christmas, and yeah, just so excited to stitch this one. This is on the called for, I think it's a 28 count raw linen from Zweigart, using all of the threads in the thread pack, which I think are all silks. And so this is where I got to. It doesn't look like too much progress, but all of these vines are 1/1. So that's what I accomplished in, I think I worked on it for 3 days. And really, really enjoyed it. It's so pretty. I cannot wait to work on this some more. I love Victoria Sampler. Could I work on it here in Sampler September? Yeah, probably, but between Zombie Run and my reproduction samplers, I'm out of time. So we'll see. Maybe in November. Okay, up next it was my third and final new start for Mania this year, and this is the Modern Folk Embroidery Sal for this year, Fruits of Plenty. And so I'm stitching mine on 32 count Silver Moon Belfast linen using DMC's 3041 and 3042. And I'm way behind and I have no prayer of catching up, but that's all right. It's beautiful. I love this design. Modern Folk Embroidery is firing on all cylinders lately, and I could stitch just about everything that they're releasing. Everything. But I'll stick to just this one gigantic one for right now. Yep. This one has reached its 2100 stitches, so it's not likely to come back out, which hurts me, but it is what it is. Okay. In June of this year, so now, I guess that was the first project that y'all haven't seen yet at all on the channel. In June of this year, I was working non-stop on In This Moment. It was the only project that I was working on for the whole month. And I was racing to the finish line on that piece. I just wanted to get it done. But I knew that burnout was a very real possibility for me. And there was some times where I would put BDS in her swing, and then I would just sit there and watch her swing. So I thought, well, let me start some stuff on a Q-snap. This is always the thing with me. I start stuff on a Q-snap. But I mean, having a new start kind of reinvigorated me to continue working on In This Moment. And another designer who is firing on all cylinders right now is Long Dog Samplers. So I had to start Quinto Acuto, the pointed fifth. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. But inspired by Gothic architecture, humongous, lots of animals, nifty cool borders, and just all sorts of cool stuff to look at. Like, oh my gosh, this had to happen. So Abby Bellistich, she was like, all right, we're starting this. And I said, Abby, can you wait for me for a little bit? I need fabric. I don't have a big enough piece of 40 count. And she said, Jess, you're an amateur. You're supposed to be buying fabric by the yard. Okay, fair, but I didn't. And so I'm gonna have to order something. So the next day I was like, Danny, you want to go on a trip up to In Stitches with me? And so we did. We went up to In Stitches so I could get some fabric so I could start this as quickly as possible after release. And so I did, and I've worked on this a few times. This is on 40 count Newcastle in platinum from Zweigart, and I'm stitching mine using DMC 3799. I kind of had a vision of doing an ombre, but I'm just gonna stick with the gray because I love it. I absolutely love it. I had a very difficult time putting this down. So much fun. And just look at that hog, okay? You see how big he looks? He's up there. Yeah, lots to do yet on this one. Lots to do yet. So, this is going to be a beloved project in lots of WIP Parades for a number of years, but I don't care. Love it. So we're still in June, and it gets to be StitchCon weekends, and I'm feeling some type of way about StitchCon. I'm jealous, for sure, and yeah, I just, we haven't been to a retreat in a very long time, and so I'm envious of everybody who's been able to get together. So I was feeling some type of way. We get to another day where I put BDS in the swing, and Holly of Stitchy Pros releases her designs. She started designing this year and she's released them. And so I purchased and immediately kit up. This is a black and white copy, but it is beautiful in color. Summertime Sunshine Sampler. And I officially started this during StitchCon weekend because I started it the day that BDS turned 5 months old, on the 12th of June. And so I guess that was StitchCon weekend, if memory serves. Anyway, yeah, started it the day she turned 5 months old. I have and I can't find anything that kind of associates sunflowers with infertility, but I have always kind of associated it, and just kind of that joyful hope that is enduring even with couples dealing with infertility. Sunflowers are just, just joy. Okay, I started this. And this lives in my Goose bag that I got earlier this year. And I'm using all of the called for threads in this design. Stitching it on a beautiful coloring cotton in Bellini, 40 count Newcastle. And so I have just the simplest little start there, just down the border on that side. And I think I'm past the halfway point in the vertical. Beautiful fabric, isn't it? Love that. So that's where I'm at with Summertime Sunshine. This is something that I worked on recently and would really like to get back to it here in Sampler September. Even though it's not a reproduction, it's an original design. I would still very much like to work on that again. Such a happy project bag. Okay, just two more. Yeah, just two more. In my videos this year, I have talked about a Christmas Quaker design that was ginormous, and I kept trying to get into different Christmas Quaker designs to try to avoid this one, but I couldn't avoid it anymore. At one point I texted Danny and I said, tell me this is crazy, tell me I don't need this, and he said, you totally need that, I can even see where it's going to go up in our house. And I was like, okay. Fine then. So off we are. So this is Christmas Quaker Bell Pull by Stickering von der Vanberg, and it's massive. It's nearly 600 stitches tall. So it's pretty, yeah, sizable. And so I got a 40 count Newcastle. I think this is light mocha, and the length is a yard. It's humongous, right? Now, if you are to stitch this, if you're going to stitch this, if you are as inspired by this design as I was, you don't necessarily need a full yard's length. I do, because I stitched in the Millennium, I needed a little extra. So I just bought the yard of fabric and then cut off a big enough slice for this design. I love this. I love this so very much. It calls for 3 colors of DMC, and so the red and the green are called for. The gold I swapped for Petite Treasure Braid because I just thought Christmas and sparkles, those things go together. So that is where I'm at. This one also has reached its 2100, but you know that this is coming out in December. It's gonna have to. I've got to work on this some more. I think it'd be really cool if I could finish page 1 this year, but that still comes down quite a bit, and there's quite a lot to do yet. So we'll see. But I love that. Love that a whole lot. And I started this the day after I finished In This Moment, so that was pretty fun. Okay, last one. We have made it to the last one. And it's living in this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous bag. It's so much fun. This is by Vintage Owl Lady, Susan. She does a couple of bags a day and posts about it on her Instagram, and then they go up in her Etsy shop. And so I have tried to get a Vintage Owl Lady bag for a while, and I finally got this one, and I'm just so thrilled. It's just so much fun. And that is my interior fabric. So gorgeous. Yo, there's skulls all over everything. Okay, I'm gonna stop. In here is my most recent new start, and that is the Cryptid Cell by the Witchy Stitcher. Couldn't help it. Just could not help it. So that's just the frame. We got the third cryptid yesterday of 16, I think is the total. But we got the third one yesterday. I am stitching mine on 40 count Newcastle in Marzipan by Coloring Cotton. And here is where I am up to. I'm using the called for threads, I think. Except for the black, I'm using Anchor Black because I'm me. But otherwise, I'm using the called for threads. I debated subbing in some metallics, maybe for the moons or these little corner bits up here. But I think I'm just gonna go with the regular cottons. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it with a more gothic appeal without the sparkles. So that's currently my plan. Actually, it's funny I say that because I stitched the Mothman in DMC at 12. So I guess I'm a liar because there's a little bit of sparkle. It's more like slight shimmer, and with one strand on 40 count, it's really hard to see. So I might be able to get away with not doing that in the rest of them. So yeah, Mothman, and then I've started on the Haunted Pants, and the Enfield Horror will go down here. So that is Cryptid Cell. And that, everybody, is it. We have reached the end. I started this at 9:30 in the morning. It's now nearly 5:30 in the evening. But we are done. If you stuck around for the whole thing, thank you so much. I so appreciate you guys watching this whole thing. I have a lot of really great projects, and as I said a million times, I can't wait to get back to that, and I can't wait to get back to any of them. Yeah, just lots of cool stuff. And a few more starts coming down the pike for the remainder of this year. But that information I will save for a future video. Speaking of future videos, I'm hoping that by getting this video done, that will kind of sort of break the ice and sort of get me back into filming perhaps somewhat closer to regularly, or at least more often than every 4 months or so. But I make no promises because life with a little one, it's unpredictable. She is cutting teeth right now, so naps are interesting. I would bring her to show you today, but she is actually out on a car ride with Dad. And not today. I will reintroduce her in a future video. She'll make another appearance. So there we have it. That's the WIPs. That's the parade. We are all done. I need to head off. I've got to go take a chill. And I will see you guys hopefully soon. So everybody take care. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Get vaccinated. As always, be kind. See y'all later.